Now going to deliver cabinet briefings for the 14th decision-making meeting of the cabinet that was held on the 29th of August 2023. First decision. Namibia Livelihood Vulnerability Assessment and Analysis Report 2023 to 2024. Cabinet endorsed the outcome of the Vulnerability Assessment and Analysis of Integrated Phase Clarification, Acute Food Insecurity Communication Report for the 2023-2024 financial year. And Cabinet approved the proposed drought relief interventions and direct offices, ministries, and agencies responsible for social safety nets and other programs to undertake the following activities. A, Office of the Prime Minister, that is now Directorate of Disaster Risk Management, to implement a comprehensive nationwide drought humanitarian relief assistance food program in all of the 14 regions with effect from the 1st of October to the 30th of June 2024. Office of the Prime Minister and Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform to provide livestock support to drought-affected farmers in all communities through the Rural Water Supply Program. And Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform to continue addressing water shortages and accelerate the provision of sanitation facilities in all communities through the Rural Water Supply Program. D, Ministry of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication and Social Welfare to strengthen the provision of welfare grants to qualified beneficiaries, provision of food assistance to marginalized communities, and cash transfer that it was previously known as food bank to qualifying beneficiaries in urban areas. And E, the Ministry of Health and Social Services to continue with the nutrition program for assessing acute malnourished persons and to refer diagnosed cases to existing feeding programs. Cabinet supported the continuous management of livestock support and drought relief programs, logistics to the central government for effective and efficient coordination of the program. And Cabinet authorized the Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprises to source funding for the shortfall in the National Emergency Disaster Fund for the proposed drought relief interventions. Cabinet directed the Ministries of Defense and Veterans Affairs and Works and Transport to continue providing support towards the implementation of drought relief interventions, and that government vehicles should be repaired to support the drought relief program in order to reduce the cost of hiring private transportation for the distribution thereof. Cabinet further approved that the Office of the Prime Minister explore options to source private vehicles where necessary to be used in the distribution of the drought relief interventions to complement available government vehicles. Cabinet directed the Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprises to provide an updated budget to institutions mandated to conduct national surveys and census such as the National Statistics Agency, Ministry of Health and Social Services, that is Demographic Health Survey, and other institutions responsible for carrying out national surveys. And Cabinet directed the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform to undertake the following short-term measures to address the identified vulnerabilities. That is, availing of adequate agricultural implements such as tractors to subsistence farmers, and provision of financial support to non-operational green schemes for food production to ensure or enhance food security and employment opportunities to communities. Cabinet further directs the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform to undertake the following medium to long-term measures to address the identified vulnerabilities. Investment in long-term development of water infrastructure to harvest and store water, especially during rainy seasons. Development of underground water resources such as the Ohangwena Aquifer. and promotion of resilience, climate-smart agricultural production technologies. Cabinet directed the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security to intensify the issuance of national documents to qualifying non-Namibians to start benefiting from government social grants. Second decision. National Work Integrated Learning Program, that is Youth Employment Tax Incentive. Cabinet took note of the existence of the government internship policy and approved the implementation of the National Internship Program. Cabinet further approved the Youth Employment Tax Incentive and 50% contribution by the government towards internship costs, which is kept at 50,000 per intern per year. Cabinet further approved the budgetary provisions in terms of tax incentives to employers and government corporate income tax. And Cabinet further approved the budgetary provisions for Phase 2 of the Work Integrated Learning, including employer training through the normal budget cycle with effect from the 1st of April 2024. Third decision. 2023 Population and Housing Census Questionnaire. Cabinet took note of the demographic and socio-economic satisfaction information about the population to be collected during the census for the evidence-based planning, decision-making, and policy-making. Cabinet further took note that data will be collected on the following themes: socio-demographic information on the population, literacy and education, economic activity or labor force, difficulties in performing activities and albinism, information and communication technology, fertility and children survival, and mortality, as well as housing conditions and housing characteristics. Third decision. Visa exemption for the African Development Bank Group license PASA holders. Cabinet approved the exemption of the African Development Bank Group license PASA holders from visa requirements when they visit Namibia to enable seamless travel for the conduct AFDB activities in Namibia. Fifth decision. 2018 to 2019 and 2019 to 2020 and 2020 to 2021 annual report of Epangelo Mining. Cabinet took note of Epangelo Mining annual reports and authorized the Minister of Finance and Public Enterprises to table the said reports in the National Assembly. Sixth decision. Annual report of Namibia National Insurance Corporation. Cabinet took note of the annual report of NAMIBRE and authorized the Minister of Finance and Public Enterprises to table the said report in the National Assembly. 2022-2023 annual report and financial statements of the Meat Corporation of Namibia, MeatCo. Cabinet took note of the annual report and financial statements of MeatCo and authorized the Minister of Finance and Public Enterprises to table the said report in the National Assembly. Eighth decision. Proposed amendment to the Constitution of the Republic of Namibia to enable the conferment of the Namibian citizenship by descent on the descendants of Namibian origin who fled Namibia prior to independence as a result of colonialism but have since relocated to Namibia. Cabinet approved the amendment of Article 4, subsection 2 of the Namibian Constitution to enable conferment of Namibian citizenship by descent on the descendants of Namibians who fled Namibia prior to independence as a result of colonialism but have since relocated to Namibia. And Cabinet further directed the Ministry of Justice and Office of the Attorney General to expedite the drafting and certification of constitutional amendment for tabling in Parliament. Perhaps I just need to elaborate here a bit that these amendments are necessitated because now the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren, for example, of people that fled during the war of the genocide currently are not catered under Article 4, Sub-Article 2. Only the first descendants who are the children of these peasants. Then there were two acts that were passed in Parliament. The Special Citizenship Act of 1991. That one had a time lapse of 5 years. These people could apply for citizenship within a 5-year period. After that, it was no longer possible. Then another special amendment was effected 2015, which again had a period of 10 years. But again, these acts only enable these persons to acquire citizenship by naturalization. And these people are actually citizens by descent. They cannot just continue to be made citizens by naturalizations like foreigners. That's why it is necessary to amend the constitution. So here ends cabinet briefings. I thank you.